For the 10 seconds or less theme, I decided to make a semi-real-time strategy game in a similar style to the XCOM games, where the player has 10 seconds to make their move before the enemy moves. I started with getting the Pathfinder working, which was simple due to the previous themes. I also used a tutorial to create an isometric camera view. Next, I worked on adding a line renderer, which to the player shows the path they would take when they click. I had a little trouble getting it to the limit range, but I eventually got it working by recalculating the path if it went further than the max range. Next, I added obstacles, which gave the player a cover value when they were within the trigger. I added enemies, which moved in a similar way to the player, but chose a random cover to stay behind. I had some issues with it, as in XCOM games is grid-based, whereas this is just a world-based, so I had to add child objects to the covers, which the enemy movement script uses as a reference on where to go. I made it choose one at random, as I don't have enough time to make an algorithm which calculates the most advantageous spot to go to. I also made it so that once the enemy moves close enough for the player to be within shooting range, they didn't move but shortened the play instead. I added a timer which swaps the turn once it runs out. I also added an end turn button if the player makes all their moves but still have time left, and the enemies automatically end their turn once they make the move. I added a rifle model to the player and enemies by making a child of the model's hand, and got animations from Mixamo for the movement, shooting, idle, and getting shot actions. For the shooting action, it rotates the model towards the target so they're aiming correctly, and then plays a shoot animation. It checks if it hits by using a random number generator to see if the target's cover is greater than the cover value they have. If it is, then the shot hits. For the player shooting, I made it so you can cycle through the targets, because there's multiple enemies, and then click a button to shoot. To prevent things from cluttering the screen, I added a mode change button, which swapped the player from being able to shoot and being able to move. Finally, I added health to the player and enemies and prevented the player from moving and shooting infinitely by limiting it to 2 movements and 1 shot per turn. I used a tutorial to get the enemy health bars to rotate to the camera so they're always straight on and visible. To expand the prototype, I would make an enemy algorithm which calculates the best movements and shots it can take. I would also like to make it so the player can control more than one character, like how in XCOM they have whole squads of people they control.